DIAL method is a super simple system for dog guardians and owners to live by, and it's devised by Justine Schuurmans of The Family Dog. Justine is an experienced certified dog trainer and family dog mediator with over 20 years experience. She's also an ex-Nickelodeon and MTV producer, which may not sound relevant, but it feeds directly into how she helps dog owners learn how to live happily with their dogs using a simple, fun and easy to understand method that's unique to each individual dog and human partnership. Justine's superpower is distilling complex, sciencey dog geek stuff into something an average dog owner can not only learn from, but enjoy learning from and get a lot of benefit from. I chatted with her about the DIAL method and lots of other things. Let's hear what she had to say. I'm here today with Justine. Justine, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, about the DIAL method, who it's for and who would benefit from it?
Yeah, sure. I've been a dog trainer for the last 20 years now. And after I had children, I realized that raising kids with dogs or dogs with kids was a whole different ball game. So what happened was my career just took me into working with families that I noticed were struggling with children, and the dog raising part together. And that sort of branched out into me educating professionals as well, other dog trainers, in working with families. So I went really deep down into the family route, playing games, how we can connect kids, what kind of activities they can do with their dog to create a bond between them that was safe as well, not just making sure that the kids were safe and that the dog was safe and everybody was happy and that parents weren't ripping their hair out. And I'm always trying to take the best dog behavior information that's out there, like the most sciencey kind of geeky stuff, and condense it into something that the public would actually really like to watch. And I used to work in television. I was a TV producer for many years. And so I think I sort of lean into my video entertainment background to try and make it fun rather than, just so serious. Nobody really gets a dog to feel like they have to work really hard in training. They just want to play and have fun and have an easy life, really. And so basically over the years, I've tried to condense this information as much as possible. And I came up with this system called the DIAL method just last year, which I think is the most information that I could squish into a 40-minute video to help people understand not what to train their dogs, but actually how to understand their dog and what they need to do. And that's the bit that I feel has been missing in the dog training. It's always like, tell your dog to sit, tell your dog to lie down, tell your dog to come. And nobody is telling people what they need to know and how they can set their dog up in the best way so that the dog is like under the best conditions for learning. So it's not about dog training. It's about up leveling the foundation of what's going on in the home before the dog even starts learning.
And I guess one of the things that when especially when I got a dog, I've been in this kind of dog world for a long time, but I was quite. It's not very long ago I got my first dog. Well, actually, so it was quite a while, 10 years ago. But in terms of my life, it's quite. So when you have this like rose tinted idea of what it's going to be like to have a dog, but actually you don't necessarily stop to think about what that dog might need. Do you know what really might need? That one individual dog might need.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really kind of been the downfall of the dog training industry. Either we can train it out of the dog or we can sell you a product that will make it work for you. And everything is about a one-way communication, what we want the dog to do. And if we can try to make it a two-way conversation and we start actually listening to and seeing our dogs, all this magic starts happening. Actually, you start getting the relationship that you wanted, and it's a lot easier than the training piece. Training can be really technical and it can be difficult and it has limitations, but I'm talking about a whole different approach where we can just live with dogs almost like we live with our children. I think my kids taught me a lot. We don't train our kids. We show them how the world works. We show them how to navigate it, and we can do the same with our dogs and have fun along the way.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the thing. Your dog can't talk to you. They can't tell you, what they want. So you need to look out for those signs and find those things that they enjoy and the things that they want to do. Learn through that.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
They are
how
actually
important?
talking to you,
Oh, sorry.
Danny. They are talking to you all the
Yeah.
time
Oh, yeah.
with their
Yeah.
body, right? So we know that,
Yeah.
but a lot of people just don't either know how
Don't
to read the
see.
signs or they're not paying attention. And so, but they
Yeah.
are, I mean, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like the toothpaste is
Yes.
out of the tube. You're like,
Yeah.
wow, look
Yeah.
how much information they're giving me that I've just been overlooking.
I think one of the things that I always think back to on that kind of topic is when I learned about one of my dogs, Tiddly. He's quite highly strung,
It's
and
called
not in a way
Tiddly.
that he's called Tiddly. Well, he wasn't called Tiddly. He was called Horatio but my mum refused to call him Horatio. So, and I live with my parents at the time. So he's called Tiddly, but that's his name now.
I just
We
like
won't go back.
the drop from Horatio to
Yeah,
Tiddly. It's
down to
just
Tiddly because
hilarious.
he is tiny. He's a tiny
Is he?
little poodle cross.
Okay.
One of the things that I said, he's highly strong. He's not a difficult dog at all, but he's just I think he finds the world very, very big, as he
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
But in terms of looking at that, those things that make him stressed, and then looking at how he deals with that. So actually, when he's shaking, he's finished that. When we're out of that situation, he shakes that off. So actually, I can then say, okay, now this is the time when I can actually train you or find things that I can do to make you understand that situation was okay. Because now you're in a better space to learn and understand.
Yes. Exactly. And I think dogs like that I love that you said, he finds the world really big.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't know if you've heard of Suzanne Clothier, but she always talks about the right size world for your dog. And
Yeah.
some dogs just need a smaller world that has, the elements that they can deal with when you take them out into situations. I certainly, with working with families, a lot of people will get dogs and then take them straight to like a soccer game or a basketball game. Well, not a basketball game, that's inside, but like a baseball game or something here in the States. So it's like big and there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of kids approaching and the dogs just can't deal with that level of the public coming at them. And so I think that's right. You want your dog for them to be able to learn, they have to be in the right mindset. They can't be overstimulated like that. Be like someone trying to teach us to speak, Japanese while we were at a Justin Bieber concert. It's like you just cannot.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. No.
Yeah,
I don't know why I said Justin Bieber. I don't know why he popped into my head, but yeah.
There you go.
It's a good concert. I did see him. It was a good concert. Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen him actually.
Oh, he's
good. So how important do you? I don't know the answer to this before I ask it. But how important do you think the connection is between dogs and their humans?
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. And it's actually the thing, as I just said earlier, it's the thing that we overlook quite often. And when we can dig into it and when we can again, really see our dogs, the connection is the thing that's actually going to get you out of sticky situations. The trust that your dog has in you and that you have in your dog, that can make a night and day difference on how a situation is perceived. So for example, I've got a little dog like your Tiddly who finds the world quite difficult, and I often have to say, I've got you, I'm going to get you out of this, don't worry. And then in that the thing that he's terrified of, like he hates, there's a lot of big lawnmowers over here because there's a lot of open space, and he thinks they are like humongous monsters that are out to kill all of us. And so he has a massive reaction to them. But I can just say, I've got you, pick him up, take him out of the situation. And because he trusts me, he knows I'm going to do that for him. It's everything. And you can do that through, whether it's through talking your dog through a situation or whether it's connection through playing. Like I know that's a really important piece to you, but just playing is the way that you can start building these strands of connection.
Yeah. I always say, it is like talking in their language, really, by playing, because actually, there isn't, it is essentially, it's a de-stressor, it's all those types of things that really kind of help put your dog in that mindset of learning as well, actually, which can really be beneficial.
Yeah, totally. It's like when you hang out with, a friend or a partner and you do like a painting class together or you go rock climbing. There's like there's like this there's you and the person and there's extra energy for doing the activity together that makes you kind of come home and be like, wow, wasn't that great?
And it makes you more open as well, doesn't it? It makes you more open to learning because you're kind of doing it together rather than just kind of studying yourself, obviously.
Yeah, that's totally true. You're a bit more vulnerable, and you have like, you're learning as you're doing that as
Yeah,
well.
definitely. Okay, so one part of the dial method is focused on seeing your dog. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, I think that's very much what we just talked about, but
Yeah, so the dial method is divided into 4 different zones. So it's nice and
okay.
easy to remember. That's the idea,
And
because
I guess that's why it's called the dial.
yeah,
Because
it's a
it's
dial, and
yeah.
it, because it also, once you start actually in the top left-hand corner, and then you
Okay.
just keep going around.
Yeah.
But it's a circle on purpose, because you never end. It's almost like when you have a house, you start painting one room, and then you're like, oh, I've got to paint the next one. You just keep going around and around.
Yeah.
But it's actually, it helps you figure out where to focus your attention. So the 4 different zones are: see your dog, which is the one we'll talk about in a minute; parent your dog. So so see your dog is actually noticing who your dog is. Parent your dog is what they need from you.
Okay.
Teach your crew, or teach your kids, depending on which version of the dial you get, is about informing everybody that comes into contact with your dog a little bit about them and what they need, so that they're not getting, abused with affection or, whatever else it might be. And then the last zone is create a plan. So that's taking everything that you've learned and actually putting it into an action plan, because that's the bit that's missing. Sometimes we have all this knowledge and then we don't know how to actually, implement it. So see your dog. The first part of it is dogs 101, is like understanding who dogs are, why they're different to humans, why they're different to cats, all the different breed groups that have essentially been bred over hundreds of years to do specific tasks for us, and what their tendencies might be. I love on your website that you have, you've broken down some of the different breeds that are common in the UK and what kind of games they might like to play. And that's, I mean, it's not to say that all spaniels will love chasing and tugging things with animal fur on them, but there's a likelihood that they probably will, right? We shouldn't be surprised if they like to chase bunny fur. Like, wouldn't be a surprise. So that's dogs 101. That's understanding all dogs. But then the next piece of it is your own personal dog. So each dog is unique. So again, if we take the spaniels, you could get the super drivey ones. You might get the more couch potato-y ones. You might get the ones that are terrified of their own shadow. There's like the whole bell curve of what that might look like. So it's taking the time to look at your individual dog and see, basically, the most important things to me are, what are they going to find easy that you can give more to them of and you can bond with them around? And what are they going to find hard? Where do you need to step in and help them? Right, because that's the bit that I think we miss. Like, we're not looking always at those things. And then the very last piece of it is accepting who your dog is. So Tiddly is always going to be Tiddly. He's always going to be Tiddly.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. A lot of people want their dog to be something that they're never going to be, and actually, you just got to live with what you can, and adapt things around that, really.
Yeah. And I think you get so much more out of the relationship, and your dog gets so much more out of the relationship when you do just say, okay, this is who you are. I'm working with the dog in front of me. Again, it's no different actually to human relationships. If we look for the potential in our partner, or we're looking for the potential in our kids, we're probably looking in the wrong place. We really want to look at who's in front of us and how we can love them and interact with them and get the most out of our relationship with them as they are right now.
Awesome. Cool. Well, that's really good. So one of the things that you mentioned there was around kids or the tribe. Did you mention it was tribe, what you said? Was that
crew?
Crew, that was it.
Crew, yeah.
That's it. So maybe tell us a little bit more about kind of the types of things you might need to do to adapt for different types of people in your life when it comes to managing your dog and those relationships.
Yeah, actually, the first lesson in that zone is about safety and respect, because I just don't think that any relationship, again, is going to blossom or flourish when there's not a mutual respect. So we like dogs to be respectful to us. We don't want them jumping on us, knocking over our cup of tea when we're drinking, chewing up our favorite shoes. We're asking for that respect of our home, our staff, ourselves. But I think, again, in the kind of the vein of the two-way street, we have to respect our dogs too. So I break it down into 4 different categories: that it's respecting their body, their feelings, their space, and their stuff. So just paying attention to how we're interacting with them, how are we approaching dogs that we don't know? Just going up and getting up in their face. I would rather encourage people to stand where they are. I call it pet pause. So to stand where you are and pat your leg to invite the dog over. If they come into your space, then you pet them, but only with one or stroke them. It's so funny because I've talked about this before, but petting in England is a weird word. I know that. Okay, but stroke in America is a very weird word. So I never know which one to use. So if you're English, we'll say stroke. We'll say pet for America. Yeah. So
we'll put a little translate.
Exactly. I don't want it to be weird. We're just talking about dogs. So you're going to stroke your dog or pet your dog with one hand so that they can actually move away from it when they've had enough. And then you pause. So you're petting for a couple of seconds and you stop and you say to the dog, what do you want? Do you want more or are you done? And if they're done, they walk away and it's all done. If they kind of like, give me some more, and you pet more, and then you stop. So those kind of things actually, they take the mystery out of like, if dogs ever bite, people often say, oh, it happened out of the blue, but guaranteed there were multiple signs that we just weren't paying attention to. And that's no diss on the people. We're just not taught to pay attention to those things. But if we let dogs move at their own pace and at their own free will when they've had enough, we're not grabbing them and holding on to them like this, then they're less likely to get in conflict. They don't want to be in conflict.
No, and I think that's really, when we go around, go to loads of different events, and that's one of the things I'm really mindful of when dogs come into the space that we're in is actually, do you know what, I'm going to get down on your level and let you interact with me if you want to, regardless of what, I've got dog breeds that I absolutely love, and I would love to just be able to
just like smooch.
Yeah, exactly. But I would never do that, and I think it's really key. Especially, I mean, I don't have kids, but I think that's really key that is a message that, that don't go up to dogs that you don't know or allow them to come to you first, And I always pray, when we're out and about and we've got small dogs, or both my dogs are small, and people love coming up and saying hello to them, especially kids. And one of the things I always do is you say it's fine, you can do it, but just ask first, because actually the dog, the owner knows more about that dog than you do, and you don't want to be put in a position where things get out of control. But it's really
and sometimes the owners feel embarrassed, so they'll say, you can say hello to the dog, but you really, if you want to ask, if you're a kid, you ask your parent, you should ask the owner, and then you have to ask the dog, and that's when you stand still and you pat your leg. That's how you ask the dog, and if they say no thanks, you have to respect that. And your parent should say, he's saying no, leave him be, and we'll find another dog who's actually really wants to say yes. Otherwise, it's like, I call it stuffed puppy syndrome, where they literally, like, dogs are treated like stuffed toys for us to just do what we want. We would hate it. Imagine if a stranger came over and just started kissing us or touching us. We'd be like, what are you doing? Get off.
I suppose that's a really good analogy, actually.
We would be so horrified if someone just came up to us and started like touching our hair. You'd be just like, what are you doing? It's the same actually to dogs. They might eventually enjoy it, but a lot of them are like, no thanks.
What are you doing? They don't know you,
Quite, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, Tug-E-Nuff, we're all about play. That's essentially what everything that we do is all about, play between humans and dogs and stuff like that. So, I mean, how does play come into building connection between owners and their dogs?
Well,
in your opinion?
I think that what you said earlier is so true, that we kind of like the defenses come down, the seriousness falls off, and we just are enjoying each other's company, and we get a little bit vulnerable. We don't really kind of know where it's going. That's kind of the exciting piece of it, and we can just be ourselves, and it's just a great way to connect and burn off steam. I love it. I think it's really important to find, going back to see your dog, is finding the kind of play that your dog really enjoys, because otherwise, if you're just enjoying it, it's no fun to your dog. And if your dog's just enjoying it, but it's no fun to you, you're less likely to do it. So how can you look at your dog, see what they love, whether it might be like hide and seek. They might love scent, like tracking. That could be really fun to them. It could be tugging on one of your fantastic tug toys. I mean, I love for kids, I really love the long toys, because often people will get puppies with children. That's what the main direction I see most of the families that I work with go, rather than adopting an older dog. And so puppies obviously have these really sharp teeth. And so the sharp teeth in the little kids' hands, they get really upset quickly. But the longer the toy, the less chance there is of any kind of connection between, the teeth and the hands. So they can play with like a chase toy, or they can throw a ball and teach their dog to retrieve. And a lot of dogs absolutely love that. You have to be careful that they don't become like crack addicts to the ball, and because some do. I've got a borderline addict that we have to manage some of that as well. But it could be like, to change some of that for the dogs that are really like, oh my god, I throw the ball, is like telling them to wait, or holding them back, throwing a ball into maybe long grass or a field where they can't really see it, and then say, now go find it. Because that's the foraging kind of instinct that's coming out now, rather than just a drivey chase where they're
I guess it's looking at those first of all, looking at those breed traits, those things that the breed that you've got was to do, basically, and then trying to find games that may tap into that. And then I guess it's then looking at those signs that go, okay, well, actually, I do know, he is or she is enjoying that game. Let's play a bit more of it. Are they kind of begging you to play that type of thing? Actually, looking for more. Exactly, looking for more, and that's really, really, really cool. I mean, what type of things, in terms of like signs that you might kind of look out for in a dog that they actually do enjoy that game? What type of things do you think you might?
Or that they want to do more of it. That would be the first one, that they, as you said, they're kind of nudging you to play more. If they're just don't really want to interact, then maybe you want to try something else. I mean, if you've got, some dogs also like to kind of, they like to play, I want to say, more by themselves, but you can put yourself in the game. So if you have, I have a little terrier mix, my one that doesn't like the landscapers. He loves to destroy boxes. So I'll get like an Amazon box and put loads of stuffed paper in it and hide some treats in it. And then I might kind of like move the box around and be like, oh, what's in here? And I'll play with him like I'm a kid. But that is a very different way of playing than my spaniel would like to play. I mean, he would do it, but it's not the same as like running through the long grass at 900 miles an hour. So their styles are so different.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, first of all, for joining us. If people want to find out a bit more about you or about the Dial Method, I mean, is there anything that you've got that they can go and find or look up? Or
yes, I've got a video version of the Dial Method that comes in a family with kids edition and a for everybody edition for all pet parents everywhere. And that's, as I say, it's 40 minutes, and it has a digital workbook as well, so that you can take everything that you've just learned and then actually take that information and translate it into your own unique life with your own unique dog, your own family, your own home, your own environment. And we're going to offer a discount code, right, Danny?
We definitely are. We'll put a link and some information. This will probably be on YouTube, I'd imagine. So it'll be in the comment. Whatever it's called, the write up.
And if you're a reader and you prefer to read and you want to scribble notes in it, there's books, so you can go straight on Amazon and just search for the Dial Method, and there's the book, and then there's the actual physical workbook as well that you can fill out. So
we'll pop links to that.
Put the links to both of those.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And it's been great chatting to you.
Yeah, great chatting with you too. Thank you so much, Danny.
Take care. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks again, Justine. That was a really great chat. I really learned a lot, and I hope you guys did too. So make sure you check out the resources there that Justine mentioned, and check out our discount. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Positive Playtime by Tug-E-Nuff. We've got some more great episodes coming up soon, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, either on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this podcast. But thank you again, and we'll see you soon.